All right, so I'm happy to be here with you today. We are officially in Aries season. We are in the cardinal fire element. Aries season is always a little bit exciting because it is the rebirth of the astrological year. So if you follow the zodiac, the first sign is Aries and the last sign is Pisces. And so there's always, even though like we have the different seasonal cycles, there is definitely something about Aries that is the beginning. And in the northern hemisphere, the Aries cycle is usually the activation of spring. So the Aries cycle begins the equinox across the planet. One of the two equinoxes, we had the equinox last Saturday. But those of us in the northern hemisphere, Aries brings the spring. In the southern hemisphere, it brings the fall. But either way, there's that initiation of the cycle. And regardless of where you are, like on the planet, whether you're in spring or fall, because I do have some wonderful, beautiful friends who are in Australia and other places, Aries is about the new beginning. So I want to talk a little bit before we get going about the first house of astrology and then about the significance of Aries and Libra. So today is the Libra full moon, in addition to being sort of our Aries activation. So we entered Aries last week on the 20th, which was the day of the equinox. And then we're meeting today a week later on the full moon because it's so important to work with Aries in the context of Libra and balance. But so in astrology, you might have heard of the houses. So a lot of what you look at with your birth chart in astrology, you have your planets and then you have your houses. And everybody has all 12 houses. Like everybody has that. So even if in your personal chart, you don't have Aries or Libra, we all have Aries in the first house and we all have Libra in the seventh house. And especially if you follow the whole sign system in astrology, which is what most astrologers use now, we really get that like fullness of each house. So the sky is essentially kind of broken up into these 12 houses that start with the first house and go to the 12th house, which is essentially Aries, Taurus, Gemini, like all the way to Pisces. So the first house is also the ascendant, the rising sign. So whatever is your rising sign, whatever is your ascendant is in your first house. And the first house is identity. It is what is conscious. It is the physical body. So when you're learning about your astrology, most of us learn our sun sign first, because essentially that's the easiest. It's the easiest to find your sun sign because there's such a broad, it's like, there's like a month where the sun is in Aries. So if you're born anytime between this year, it was, March 20th to April 19th, you're an Aries sun. So for most of us, our first relationship with astrology is with the sun sign. And the sun sign is a big part of who we are. And then most people start to move into the moon and then the rising. So that's kind of like in astrology work, that's like what makes you three-dimensional. If you're only working with your sun sign, then it's like one dimension of yourself. The moon sign is like the other. It's like the sun sign is like, the front body, moon sign is the back body, and then the rising is kind of like what fills it in. And the rising sign is also one of the trickier things to find because you have to have an exact birth time to find it. So, and it can change within minutes. So that's why it's like having the right time and location of your birth is pretty much the only way to know for sure your rising sign. But it's essentially what's rising in the east when you're born. And so in that way, it really is like what is coming up for you. And I love that idea. It's like, it's what's rising in the east. It's like the sunrise. So as you're being born, that's like what is coming up for you. That's like what you're going to identify with and you're going to connect to. So that's why a lot of times there's a big emphasis put on the first house because it's your identity, it's your consciousness. There's a couple of varying views about, some people say that the rising sign is sort of what we present and others say it's what we're evolving towards. And I think with most things, it's a little bit of both. But so when we enter the Aries cycle, we sit in balance between light and dark. No matter what side of the planet you're on, we're balanced in light and dark. And we are all moving into first house. And so we're asking to basically reclaim our identity. And in a culture where we are constantly questioning identity and having people tell us our identity, and working through family of origin and relationships and labels. And this is a really challenging place to be. And with everything that we've been through this year, and for a lot of us even beyond, there has been a lot of change of identity. Like people who were in jobs for, I don't know, 15 years, things like that, like those jobs go away. Like, who am I now, right? Like relationships ended, things change, people become parents, things, things have transformed. So every time we sort of like come into relationship, or a relationship changes, like there is that pushing and pulling in our identity. And so what's happening right now, what just has kind of happened this week, is on Thursday, Friday, Venus and the Sun conjuncted, and they're still together with Chiron opposing this full moon, which is in Libra. So the sun, as we've talked, like the sun is really important because that's like what gives life to the universe, right? Like we need the sun. Your sun sign, your sun energy is important because that is your life force. That is like the vessel that your soul is in. And then you're moving towards your rising sign and you lean into your moon sign for comfort. So when the sun is aligned with other planets and other energies, it's really encouraging us to look deeper. So the sun and Venus, so Venus is in Aries and the sun is in Aries and Chiron's on Aries. That's how we have these alignments with planets. They're either all in the same sign or they're opposing, like the opposite signs, how Aries and Libra are opposite. So Venus is the feminine. Venus is our, whether you identify as male or female, it is the feminine energy. And we all have that. It's specific to self-worth and it's specific to how we show up in relationships. So relationship is a big word right now. And Venus is currently in the underworld. And some of you have been working with me with the Venus underworld. So when Venus entered Aries with this in this conjunction with the sun, it's essentially her starting to come back to life. So Venus was traveling through as the morning star. She's been hidden from us for 6 weeks. And now when she's in the heart of the sun, she starts to change and come back up. So she's now in the process of starting to prepare for her ascent. She's moved from morning star to evening star. So that Aries Venus met with the sun, and Aries Venus is the warrior. She's the feminine warrior energy. So when she's with the sun, she basically is being reborn to her warrior self, to her fierce self. When Venus is in Aries, in general, it's choosing yourself, which can be really hard to do in relationships. And many of us are taught that we shouldn't do that in relationships, right? And especially with the sun, so Thursday, Friday, there was this big like push into recognizing like where you're not choosing yourself. So if you started the last 6 weeks in general, if you've been feeling some shifting around your relationship, particularly around your feminine sort of energetics, and in the last couple of days, there was this shift of Venus in Aries with the sun, and Chiron is there too. So Chiron's the wounded healer. Chiron, so Venus with the sun with Chiron is basically asking us to really almost settle into where we've been wounded in choosing ourselves, in our passion, in our focus. So Aries is, again, the warrior. It's also the child. It's the inner child. It is, and so if you know children, like they know what they want, right? Like if you talk to a 2 or 3 year old, they're like, me, mine, no. And then we start to teach them not to do that, right? We start to teach them to share and to do all these things, right? And so Aries is the child, it is the warrior, it is passion, it is focus, it is cardinal fire. And in its healthy vibration, Aries connects us to self, to identity, to that pure place where you choose you exactly as you are, whole to yourself, in your power, in your fire. Where we start to struggle with Aries is when it isn't allowed to grow up and come into relationship in a place of wholeness. And that's why we have a culture of wounded masculine, right? Because Aries is a very masculine sign. Just as Venus is associated with femininity, Aries is masculine. And that again goes for all of us, but particularly for those who carry a strong masculine identification. Aries in a lot of ways is the wounded masculine because they can be, think about a 2-year-old, right? They throw tantrums, they take what they want, so when you have a bunch of grown adults, right, doing that behavior, it's dangerous, it's volatile. And we're seeing that all over the country right now. We're seeing this toxic masculinity that's essentially some children who never grew up, who never learned how to be in appropriate relationship with their own desires and needs, and then therefore project that onto others. And so every time we come to this work, we get the opportunity to, and so especially with Chiron right now, so Chiron is like, this is your wound. This is your wound, and this is the opportunity to heal it. And this energy is shining down on all of us right now. But what's unfortunate is only some of us are paying attention. So for others, it plays out unconsciously. And so some of the things we do see happening, it's the unconscious projection of this wound, of this self wound, inflicting it on others. And it sucks. Like, it sucks and it's terrible. And, you know, everybody has to show up in it. And so in this particular cycle with Libra, so Libra is the cardinal air. Libra is ruled by Venus. So again, just coming out of Venus in Aries with the sun and the underworld, and Venus choosing herself, choosing to awaken, choosing to receive the spark of life and to ascend as her warrior self, start that process. And then we come into the Libra full moon, and Libra is Venus. And so this full moon is a Venus moon. This full moon also signifies Passover, and it's the full moon before Easter. So in a lot of other cultures, this particular full moon symbolizes that rebirth, that reawakening, that spark of life. And Libra's relationships, she's the scales. So she balances Aries. Aries is like me, and Libra's like we, right? But there's an imbalance there too. So we see in Aries and Libra the toxic masculine and the toxic feminine in our culture, in most of our cultures, where the masculine gets to be aggressive and selfish and assertive. The feminine is like, oh, let's make everybody happy. Let me make sure I'm pretty and everybody's happy, and like, let's take care of everybody else first. So that's what we're seeing. And we all have those archetypes. So again, whether you have Aries or Libra in your planets, Libra is the 7th house. Libra is the house of relationships. So if you're familiar with your chart, you can look at your 7th house right now too and see what's in your 7th house. But Libra, like I said, we just get a snapshot of Libra at this full moon. She comes in the middle of Aries season and basically asks for that balance between me and we, and self and other, and the warrior and the child, and all of these things. And Libra rules social justice. She rules harmony. She rules beauty. And again, she's the autumnal sort of bringer in of the light of the harvest. And a lot of times we can ignore her because Aries is so much louder. Aries is so much bigger and brighter and louder. It's easier to ignore. And then again, Libra gets stuck in this more subdued position. But when they're in balance, it really is a beautiful marriage. And that is sort of what is being asked of us right now, is like, can we marry the self with our true self? Can we choose ourself? Can we actually own and participate in not only our power, but also our wounds? Can we own and embody our wounds? And from there, can we have a relationship? And the first relationship is with yourself, with your identity, your first house, your energy rising, with what is true for you. And this is a big, scary thing. And those of you who are in the Venus with me, we talked about the mantra of like, I want me, I choose me. And that's a very scary thing. And it can be very scary if you haven't done the work around your wounds. Because again, if you look at a 2-year-old saying, I choose me, like that can be in the midst of they're going to, destroy the house, right? Like they're choosing themselves. So as adults, when we're saying I choose me, we're doing it in a way that doesn't cause harm. We've done that work of like, I can choose me and I can choose my truth and my boundaries and my passion without harming you, without taking from you. If you have what I want, well, I'm choosing me. So I'm taking what you have because that's for me, right? Like that's that toxic and shadow quality of the Aries Libra dynamic. So we really have to sit into this place of like, if I'm really in my truth, I don't want anything from anybody else, right? Like if I'm really in mine, we talk about this in relationship, people look for other to fulfill their needs, to make them whole, to connect in that way. And Libra does that so much. Libra relates. That's what she does. She's the relational goddess. That's how she learns, is through relationship. But at the same time, she has to continually come back to like, but wait, what do I actually want? And a lot of us, we learn to just be like, well, I just want what everybody else wants. And we do that for so long, especially if you've been abused, traumatized, if you've been like in those situations, you genuinely just want what's safe, right? You're just like, I just want what's safe. That's really what I want. But when we're really allowed to be in it, there's most of the time there is a choice we do want. There is something we want more, but usually it comes from fear of asking for it. And so we have to sit in this balance of like, who am I, right? So the first house, identity. Who am I? Who do I want to be? You know, who am I trying to be right now? Like, is my identity stuck with what my mother wanted? Is my identity with what my husband wanted? Is it what my friends thought was cool? Like, how much of my identity is actually mine? And how much of it is based in my relationships? Because of course we're affected by culture, right? Like, of course we're shown what music is cool and what clothes are cool, and we start to relate in that way, but we have that inner self. So the inner child is where we start to connect a little bit more, like what made you happy as a child? What was magic for you as a child? What could you get lost in for hours as a child? Now, of course, if you had an unsafe childhood, that may have been an opportunity you didn't get to have. And so as adults, we get to play with that. We get to be like, you know what, I'm going to go in this park and I'm going to see what I want to do, right? Like we get to uncover that. We get to do inner child work. And then the same thing for the warrior. You know, what are we passionate about? Like, what are you willing to stand up for? What are you willing to take action over? Like, what are you willing to be of service to? And that's a big thing where we start to find that balance of Aries and Libra, is when we're in that service to the higher, to that really unconditional love. And then also, like I said, so Venus, the Sun, and Chiron are all in Aries. Mercury is going to move into Aries the first week of April, I think the 3rd. The 3rd, yes, the 3rd. So for a little while there, we're going to have all these energies in Aries. And then we have the Aries new moon on April 11th. So between now and like April 13th, we have this really powerful Aries expression. We'll have all of these energies in Aries that we're sort of working through. So the emphasis these next few weeks is really on you and who you are and how you want to show up, what you're passionate about, what you're joyful about. And then after the 14th of April, Venus moves into Taurus, and then Mercury into Taurus, and Sun into Taurus. So after the 14th, we do start to move a little bit more into Taurus, which is definitely Venus season. Taurus is also ruled by Venus, and Venus is kind of overseeing this next month in her, as she starts to ascend. And so there is that line with the feminine as well, of like really embodying ourself, our identity, our passions, our presence. But because today is the Libra full moon, and I actually thought it was really, I usually do these workshops like right after the sun changes, but I couldn't do it last weekend. So I was like, well, okay, well, we'll do it with Libra. And that feels really good because again, we are getting that taste. So because there is this big emphasis on me and who I want to be and my wounds and showing up for myself, we are getting that taste of the other. We are remembering what we want in relationships. So this is a really good time to notice like what relationships are kind of out of alignment. You know, are there some conversations? So the next few weeks are really good about having those conversations that maybe if you want to set a boundary or there's changes in your relationship, this is a really good time to start to have those conversations so that when we start to move into Taurus and mid-spring and all the like juicy sensual energy there, like we feel really healthy with our boundaries, with ourselves, with others, because there is a sense of celebration and ascent coming in May. Like there is this really sensual mid-spring sort of cycle coming up, but we have to really do this work of Aries. We have to really do this work of remembering ourselves, really feeding ourselves the food and waters of life, the spark of life, and then looking around. So right now, the Libra full moon asks us to look around, and it's like, what relationships feel good? What relationships feel healthy? You know, what relationships are feeding who I am, who are feeding my soul, and what relationships aren't? And I was just talking to people the other day about, you know, how hard it is as adults to either A, like break up with friends, break up with other dynamics, because we all talk about romantic breakups, right? Like they suck most of the time. Sometimes they can be really cathartic, but a lot of it's other social stuff. Like how do we break up in a good way with our friends, with our jobs, with our identities? So this Aries cycle, that may be a breakup of like, wow, I've been identifying. So for me, I was managing the yoga studio for 15 plus years. Like I'm still breaking up with that identity, like I grew up with that identity. So I'm like, I have no one to manage but myself right now. And I have Libra rising and Aries moon. So this is a very like, I like managing others. I'm pretty good at it too, but right now I just have myself to manage. Well, and my son, but he doesn't let me manage him. So that's different. So that's another thing too, is like, before we project too much attention on like, oh, I'm going to break up with that, I'm going to break up with them. Like, look at yourself, right? Like, are you in the right, like, what identity are you connecting with? Like, if you look to the east, if you look to what's rising, what is rising for you right now? What identity, what connection, what passion is rising for you? And so Libra always brings the scales, because Aries gets that tunnel vision. It's like, I'm going to burn it all down. I'm burning all of it down and I'm just going to start over. Right? Like, so Libra is like, okay, hold on. Hold on. So there's the masculine and the feminine, the fire and the air. And she's just like, let's find the beauty. And that's the thing with Chiron. With Chiron active right now, it's so easy to get lost in our pain. And there is a lot of pain. And I would never, ever, ever try to undermine or negate the pain right now in the world, and the pain that has been here for a very long time. And each of us has to have we have to participate in that. We have to take responsibility for our pain and any pain that we've inflicted on others, whether consciously or unconsciously. And Chiron is also the wounded healer. So the pain, the wound, is where, if we can drop into it, right, we connect to the healing, to the beauty. So Libra's message is find the beauty. Find the beauty in the pain, find the beauty in the re-identification, find the beauty in the remembering your soul self and your identity and your purpose. And so when we have all this energy in Aries opposing, so again, we've got Sun, Venus, Chiron, and then we have this Libra, and they're at 8 degrees. So they're right in the center of it, right in the sense of it. And we're sitting with it. We're sitting with it right now. We're sitting in circle, right, in virtual circle together with all of this energy. And the full moon's actually exact at almost like 11:30. So we're really, this time is really right in the center of it. But obviously it extends out. And even past anytime the full moon, we're feeling the effects of the full moon till the new moon. So this work is, like I said, going to continue to really unfold, especially through April 13th. And then we have the Aries new moon, like I said, on the 11th. And so we're going to kind of touch into that a little bit towards the end of this practice. But so, right now it is about you, and it is about me, and it's about that identification and committing to it. So like I said, I'd highly recommend, if you don't know your rising sign, like working with your rising sign. And again, have you done any work with your rising sign? Do you identify, like, look at what, if you have rising, like, look at that. Do you identify with that? Does that carry an identity? And if not, sitting with that and looking with that, and maybe finding a way this cycle to do something that connects you to it. And I'm always happy to offer suggestions if you want to talk to me after or anything about how to like connect with that. And at the same time, taking responsibility for your pain, for your wounds, getting whatever help you need to do that. So, like all the tools, therapy and support and recovery and journaling and dancing and meditating and yoga and talking to trusted friends and confidence and all of those things. Because again, our identities are so personal. We each have our own identity that really isn't about where we were born, who our family is, what job we're doing. It's sometimes something so much deeper that most of us, we may have lost as we started being in relationship with other. And so we get to reclaim that. And from that space, we get to choose our relationships. We get to choose how to relate. We get to choose our identity. In yoga philosophy, we talk about the practice of pratyahara, which is withdrawing all of your senses and really gathering yourself to center. And that's where we start to move into the state of meditation. And then from there, you can consciously choose where to go. So I always see it as like an octopus that like lets go of its arms and kind of gathers in, or like a turtle or something that gathers in. And so in the practice, we are going to work with this sensory awareness to kind of let go of things and gather back, and then choose who you want to give your attention to, choose where you want to focus that, because Aries likes focus. Aries does like to have a focus to like spark. It's the spark. So we're gonna start to do a little bit of movement and shifting around. So allow yourself to, maybe give yourself a little shake, a little shift if you need to grab any water. So I had recommended, of course, always having your journal and pen, and I know most of you have that. If you have a lighter or matches, or even better, that would be great. Something that can spark. We'll do that towards the end for just a very, and I'm really big on simple rituals that we can like do whenever we want, right? Because it's like, I love rituals too, where it takes hours to gather things, but like, I don't, most of us don't have time for that. But again, if you do have time to do like a nice full moon ritual today, it is a good day for it. But we'll just do kind of a Aries, Libra sort of ignition towards the end of this. And then just bring yourself to a comfortable seat. Make sure I've got my Libra flowers. So that is something that is nice to do today. Go out and see some flowers. Be around the beauty, because that's the thing. Libra says, with all of this identification, with all of this, connecting to our pain and reawakening, like find the beauty in it. Find the beauty in, the relationships and stuff that are passing away. Find the beauty in what is coming in. Find the beauty in it. And that's going to allow us to be with it more. So when we see our pain as ugly or shameful or terrible, it makes it that much harder to work with it. But if we can recognize like the tiny, tiny bit of beauty, and even if it's simply that we survived it, right? Like that we got through it, that we're learning from it. So go ahead and bend your knees, squeeze your knees together. So the movement is always optional, and you can always be sitting up in a chair as well, if it's not comfortable to be on the floor. And if you're wherever you are though, like have the knees bent, squeeze the knees together, hold behind your hamstrings. And just give yourself a little shift, a little shake. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then open the mouth, stick out the tongue. And then again, take a deep breath in. Exhale, stick out the tongue. One more time, inhale. And stick out your tongue. So that's the lion's breath. It clears out the heart. So Aries rules the head, Libra rules the kidneys, but also the heart area. So in our astrology, Aries is the head, Libra is the kidneys. In chakra system, fire is the belly, air is the heart. And so we're going to kind of move through those areas today. So that was sort of clearing out the heart, clearing out any excess heat, and then holding behind the hamstrings, draw your belly towards your thighs. And then just lean back until you feel your belly engage. And you can keep holding on to the knees, holding behind the hamstrings. You can also place the hands behind you. If you want a little more, arms can come up shoulder height, or they can lift up. Relax the shoulders, draw the belly in. And you might be able to lean back a little more, but you want to feel connected to your power. So the third chakra is power source. So you want to feel connected to the belly. So draw the belly and lift the chest. And just see if you can breathe here. So that is the balance, right? So the relationship between the body and the breath. If you're practicing yoga or any physical practice and you can't breathe, that's not a healthy relationship, not an appropriate relationship. Slow and deep, draw the belly in, relax the shoulders. If you can always come out if you need to, otherwise just take another big breath. And then exhale, round in, let it go. Give yourself a little rock. So connecting to a little fire, a little life force. And then again, hug the knees towards each other, lift up, lean back to that point. And you can stay just like this. Or if you want, reach your arms up and then twist over to the left. And if that's too much, come back to center. But as we move, so as we move away from center and we reach to one side of us, can we maintain our power? Can we maintain that source? And maybe not. Maybe we have to come back and hold. Take another big breath. Can you lift your heart? Can you take a deep breath? Exhale, bring it back and hold. So as soon as we come away from center, right, we start to lose our power. We have to stay really connected. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, back. So again, you might just stay here and hold. then you might have had enough. You might just need to curl in and take a few good breaths here, and that's totally fine. Or maybe today you're ready to twist to the other side. And so having a physical practice during Aries season is really important. So you want to move your body during Aries season, and it can be great to get a little sweat going. And it should be fun. It should be playful. So that might be a fun place with your rising sign, is like look up some physical practices that are associated with your rising sign and explore that this cycle. Because Aries needs to move the heat through the body. Take a breath. Exhale, bring it back. And just feel into that little shaking, that little waking up in the belly, waking up in the core. And then lift yourself up, keep the knees together, take the left hand behind you, reach your right arm up. And exhale, you can wrap your arm around your knees or hook the right elbow outside the left knee. And as you inhale, breathe into the back body. So the kidneys are just under the back rib. Breathing into the kidneys and twisting. So these kinds of twists are great, again, for the Aries Libra, because we're connecting to core, we're rinsing out, we're detoxifying, but we're also breathing right into the kidneys. We're getting that kidney awareness. Soften your face. Take a deep breath. And again, if twisting is uncomfortable, you can just have the left hand behind you, keep your hands held there, and just keep your belly forward. Take another breath. If you can, exhale, stick out your tongue. And then bring it back to center. Sit up nice and tall. And if you are twisting, right hand behind you, the left arm can reach up and then you can hook or wrap, or again, just keep it really mild. Keep the belly forward, just maybe start to look over your right shoulder. So you can sort of determine whether the twist is just in the upper spine or all the way through the spine. So if you hook that arm, you're going to feel that ringing out through the internal organs, and that's going to be a deeper twist. If you just sort of have the head and the upper body turning, it's just going to be in the upper spine. So you can decide how deeply you want to twist, right? So the scales, Libra weighs everything out. Take another big breath, whereas Aries just acts. Exhale, stick out the tongue. Bring it back to center. And then let the knees open, bring the soles of the feet together. And if you want to, you can always put support underneath your thighs if your hips or your knees are feeling tender today. Up on your sits bones, holding onto the legs, and let's just start to circle it out. So finding the balance, finding the breath after starting with a little bit of fire. So another system in yoga, the yoga of action, Kriya Yoga, there's 3 parts to it. The first part is tapas, which is fire, heat, discipline. The second part is Svadhyaya, which is the cool reflection. And that is another really great example of the Aries Libra. Aries is tapas, it's action, it's fire, it's discipline. It's like, let's do this. Aries does not like to wait around. Nothing happens fast enough for Aries. And then Libra is like that cool reflection where you're pausing, you're looking over everything, you're getting feedback. I always joke that I see my Libra rising when I'm in a new restaurant that has like a big menu, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to weigh all of the different options, and what do I, like anyone I'm eating with is usually like, okay, I think she needs more time. Reverse the direction. But then again, once if I'm in the mood for something, then that's it, and that's all I want. So that's where we start to feel into that, noticing those places where we know what we want, right? And then those areas where we feel like we have to weigh it all out. And what is your response when someone says, what do you want? Do you immediately want to go to like, well, whatever you want, or like, I don't know, what are the, or, are you someone who like, you don't even have to think about it, you know what you want? There's all different kinds. And again, some of that just simply is, it's formed by our childhoods. If we grew up in childhoods where we weren't really allowed to have an opinion or have a choice. And so that's some of the wounds coming up right now with Chiron, is the ways that you were not allowed to have your identity, the ways that your identity was denied or negated, or again, taking identities that were harmful to yourself and others. And then bring it to center, lengthen the spine, lift up, take a big inhale, and exhale, just draw forward, just to breathe into the back body. This is another great kidney pose. So breathe into the kidneys, soften your face, You can keep a little rock going. And then roll yourself on up. And you can move your blocks. And we're going to briefly come up to stand. So go ahead and shift yourself, draw your knees in, shift yourself up and make your way up to stand. Give yourself a shake. So as mammals, it's good for us to kind of shake ourselves out when we transition. Lets the nervous system know we're intentionally moving. And then bring your feet about hip width distance apart, point your toes forward, roll the shoulders down the back, shake out your head. And so just come into your body. So mountain pose, Tadasana. Feel your body, feel your feet, and feel your head, the front body and the back body. And I think sometimes for us too, like as we get older, like we have those moments, like we feel like ourselves, and then like we look in the mirror, we see a picture and we're like, who's that? So when we're in the first house, again, we get to this, we get to reconnect with our identity, because sometimes we are attached to an old identity, whether it's physical, and the first house is absolutely your physical. So again, dressing for your rising sign is kind of a fun practice of embodying the first house. And sometimes we need that reflection. We need to look in the mirror. We need to look at our lives and be like, is this me? And I have a ton of time where I'm like, who am I? Who am I? I don't even know. And that's a good question, to ask ourselves, just be open. Who am I? Who am I? What comes up there? But without that shame that we're not who we think we should be or who someone else thinks we should be. Come back to center if you've been rocking or shaking. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, pull your hands down to your heart and bow to yourself. Bow to you, choosing you, identifying with you right here, right now. Press your feet into the earth. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Lift your chest, sit back into a chair pose. And this might be just a very small bend in the knees. For some of you, it might be deeper. Stay connected to your feet. Stay connected to your heart as we feel into a little bit more of that fire energy. So draw belly in, sit into the legs. And so in chair pose, we're having a heart opener. So just like in our boat, you can stay here and really focus, or if you want more, bring your arms out or up. But do you lose the heart opener? Do you lose the connection to your power? Do you lose the connection to yourself? Squeeze everything in. Take another big breath wherever you are. Exhale, forward fold. And just let yourself explore for a moment. Shake it out. Wiggle it out. Just let it go. Shaking out your head here. So that's that Aries energy, the head. So shake out your head. Gently shake yes and no. No, I am not that. Yes, I choose me. And then bend the knees, roll your spine up one vertebra at a time. Come back to yourself, back to center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, take the right arm down the right leg, left arm over, side bend. So roll the shoulders down. You can always hold the back of the skull if it's too much to reach up. Breathe into the side body. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm over. Let your hips press. And you can always do this sitting too if you need to sit on the bed or the chair for today. Just stretch over the side. Inhale it up. Exhale, hands to heart. Bring your feet together if they were separated. Lift up into your heart. And again, sit into your chair. And it might just be a couple of inches. Lift your heart. And you can stay just like this, or again, reach your arms out or forward. If you want to try again to see what happens when you come off center, bend your arms into goalposts and start to twist towards the right without losing your chair. Notice what happens. Do you lose your power? Do you lose your center? Sit back into your hips, soften the jaw for the last couple breaths. If you want, you can hook the left elbow out the right knee, bring the hands in, twisting chair. Take a breath wherever you are. Exhale, stick out the tongue. Inhale, center. Exhale, forward fold. Shake it out. Shake out your head. Shake your legs. Let all that go. Let that excess heat go. Anything not you, not yours, nothing that is not part of your healthy relationships moving forward. Soften the knees, roll yourself up one vertebra at a time. Come back to yourself, back to center. Just notice, so it's always amazing when we move the body and the breath together, even in simple ways, right? It helps us to move out that stagnant, that excess. We get to really feel how we're feeling today, who we are today. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, left arm down, right arm over. And again, same modifications. You can hold the back of the head. If you want a little more fire, lift the left hand up as though you were holding the full moon between your hands. Soften the jaw. Notice again what happens. Is it pulling you off center? Is it pulling you out of your own power? Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, right arm down, left arm over. You can be just like this. You can hold the head, or you can bring your arms up like that ball. My closet's right here, so I can't do it on that side unless I turn it. It's okay. Soften the jaw, soften the face, and notice what happens. So every time we reach to the right, to the left, we move that, we come out of that center line. And so do we maintain our power? Do we just fall out of it to reach forward, to go further, to make that connection with something outside of ourselves? Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, hands to heart. And again, we do want to relate. Life is relationship. The polarity between sun and moon, relationship. Take a big breath in. Exhale, sit into your chair. So again, you might choose to stay here. You might choose to reach up and open, or if you want, bend the elbows, hug into center, and then twist to the other side. So twisting to the left, if you are following me, roll the shoulders down, sink into it, see if you can stay center. Soften the jaw, soften the face. Inhale. If you want more the last couple of breaths, can you hook and find that twist? Squeezing in towards center, take a deep breath. Exhale, stick out your tongue wherever you are. Unwind and fold. Last time. Shake it out. And then soften your knees and crawl forward to your belly. Just very briefly, let's come to Sphinx. So this is another kidney pose, and it's going to stretch out the abdominals. So spread the fingers, tops of the feet down, elbows down. Just take a few sweet breaths. So breathe into the kidneys, lengthen through your crown, feeling the balance between the head, the kidneys, the heart, and the belly. Breathing into your body. So rising, the rising sign, the first house, again, our physical identity is there too. How we present our physical identity to the world. What we dress this body up in. Right now, that Aries really asks us to awaken our true self. And it does change. Your true self last year may be unrecognizable to yourself this year. And that's another reason we suffer. And we talk a lot about this in yoga philosophy, is that we attach to things that are supposed to change. And Aries season, every year we get to come to this place. Who am I now? Who am I right now? What am I identifying with? We have this alignment, not exactly the same, because again, the Chiron Venus underworld doesn't happen every year. So there is an intensity around it this year, but every year Aries and Libra come together and they ask us to have this conversation. Take another big breath. Exhale, stick out the tongue. Slide your hands under your shoulders. If it's available, you can push back to child's pose. If not, just rest on your belly, maybe make a little pillow with your hands, place your forehead. Either way, so child's pose is knees wide, big toes together. You can always put a blanket under the knees, or just again, resting on your belly. And just take a few moments here. Again, child's pose is another good kidney pose. Calm down the heat. And so child's pose is considered the pose of wisdom because we place the head below the heart. We move from the heart. So coming back to this idea of Aries as that child, the magical child. When you were a child, where were the moments of magic? What was magic? And again, if you were not allowed that experience, and I'm so sorry for so many who went through childhood in fear, but as adults, we can revisit, we can reclaim. We can start to move into those moments where we felt magic, whether it was a book, a movie, something you saw out the window. Take another big breath in, and then let it go. Roll yourself up, and we're going to come into journey. So for journey, I usually will recommend lying on the back, but if you have a seated practice and you can sit for, a little while, then you can, but otherwise just go ahead and come to lying on your back. If you have a restorative yoga practice and you'd like to do like a reclining bound angle or something like this, but otherwise just gather onto the earth. I can place some support under your head, support under your knees. So make sure you're symmetrical. You can cover your eyes. Anything you need to do for you. So if you want to set yourself up to feel safe, to feel cozy, feel yourself and coming into balance. Start by supporting the back body, comfort under your head, under your knees. And then support the front body, cover with a blanket, cover the eyes. Feel to the right and the left, make sure that you're able to drop your hands and your feet open. There's nothing the peripheral nervous system will pick up. Feel the back, the front, the right and left, and then come to center. And as you tune into your body, feel your head, relax your eyes, take a breath in through the nose and follow it into the mouth, swallow. Let your ears soften. Become aware of sound. So we talked about that pratyahara, that withdrawing. And so just notice the sound of my voice, sound of the drum, any sounds outside of you without attachment or labeling, without identifying them. Just notice the sounds. And then just allow yourself to bring the attention into the ears. There's nothing else to do or nowhere to go. Just to listen to the sound of my voice. So we allow the inner sound to awaken. And travel back into the mouth, feeling your tongue, your jaw, your teeth, your gums. Maybe again, you swallow or shift your jaw, relax it. Is there a taste? Is there a taste in your mouth? Can you allow the mouth, the sense of taste to relax and turn in? And follow up to the nose. Again, feeling the gentle breath moving in and out through the nose. The aroma, maybe you have oils in your room or incense, maybe you can smell something else. But allow the nostrils to settle and soften. And And as you continue to feel the breath, notice the temperature of the breath on the upper lip, bringing us in contact with the sense of touch. As you feel the breath on the upper lip, maybe you again notice the temperature in the room, the airflow, the texture of any items or clothing. We relax into the sense of touch, knowing right here and now we are safe. So relax a touch. Feel again the temperature at the nostrils. And then travel up to the space behind your closed eyes. This is a big one because again, Aries wants. So the eyes are open and we see the world. We see all the things outside of ourselves that we want. And we invite the eyes to close. Again, you think about how challenging it is to get children to close their eyes when they're excited, how they resist their naps and sleep. And as adults, we lose some of that, but again, we still are fixated on the outside. And so as we consciously close the eyes, as we let the eyeballs settle into the socket, we disconnect, we de-link from everything outside of ourselves. We awaken the inner vision. We turn our eyes inside. And you might start to feel into the space between the eyebrows, the third eye, the Chittakash, the Agnya chakra, and allow that eye to awaken from the inside. As we call ourselves here and now to choose ourselves, to see ourselves, to remember, to re-identify who we are truly at a soul level, right here, right now. And as you feel this energy start to quicken, again, like lighting a match in a dark room, rest into this space and repeat after me 3 times quietly. I choose me. I choose me. I choose me. Let that language settle. Feel into gratitude for who you are, your strength, your vision, your passion, your power, your pain, your wounds, your fears. Call yourself here fully into this space. Choose yourself here and now under this full moon. I choose me. As you feel into the power of that, as you feel that again, like a spark of light in your third eye, feel that spark of light move from the third eye down into the hollow of the throat. Again, striking a match here in the hollow of the throat and lighting the dark, lighting the throat with your power, your voice. And then another strike of light, and you feel it in the right shoulder, down into the right elbow, the right wrist. The spark moves into the tip of your right thumb, right index finger, right middle finger, right ring finger, and the pinky finger. Your whole right arm is lit up with the spark of your soul, your identity, your light. When you feel that move from your fingertips, your right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, back to the light in the hollow of the throat. And another strike, and that energy moves down into left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, to the tip of your left thumb, index finger, middle finger, the left ring finger, pinky finger. Your whole left arm, the left fingertips are lit up, that spark moving through your left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, back to the hollow of the throat. And the spark shifts down to the center of your heart. Again, like striking a match, lighting a flame in the center of your heart, your love, your devotion, your service. The spark emanates into the right side of your chest, back to your heart, to the left side of the chest, back to the heart, your whole heart filled with this light that is your identity, your passion, your fierce focus. And it lights up down into the solar plexus, sparking the power center with courage, confidence, and it sparks and moves down into the navel center, awakening your creativity. And then it shifts, it sparks and strikes into the right hip, right knee, right ankle, the tip of the big right toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, the pinky toe, the whole right leg lit up with manifestation of your identity, your passion, your purpose, the right toes, ankle, knee, hip, and again, back into the navel center, that center of creativity, of awakening, and then sparking down into the left hip, left knee, left ankle, down to the tips of the toes, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe, the whole left foot, the whole left leg lit up from the tips of the toes to the ankle, the knee, the hip, back into the navel center, both legs in the navel center lit up with this potential, back up into the solar plexus, shining like a jewel, a light like the sun, up into your heart that is lit up into the hollow of the throat, down both arms, little beacons of light through your fingers, your arms, up through your throat, and again resting in the space between the eyebrows. This spark of who you are by choosing you, by embodying and inhabiting your body with truth, with courage, with passion. Light up from the inside out, and you feel your whole body whole. Identifying, embodying with your entire self. You are whole, you are aligned, all of you is welcome here. We choose all of ourselves. And as you feel into that space between the eyebrows, you feel the breath moving through you. The current of breath as it inhales, filling your body with light and life force. And as it exhales, it moves through the body, clearing any stagnant, any outdated energy, anything that's not yours. As you inhale, you fill your body. As you exhale, you absorb and release. And as you feel this breath pulse, this breath detoxification, this breath initiation, you begin to make it more subtle. It begins in the whole body. Feel the whole body rise and fall with light, with energy, with purpose. And start to notice, though, how on the inhale it moves up the spine, up the back body, and exhales down the front body. So you were drawing a circle around yourself, from the tailbone up to the crown to the perineum. And this light is happening inside this bigger circuit. You are filling, you are aligning, resetting, and restoring. As you inhale, we fill up, the energy moves up to the crown. Exhale, we absorb and release as it moves down through the front. And then this time, as you inhale and fill up the back body, as you exhale, imagine this sparking light moving from the crown through your face, swirling your face with sparkling light. And then it moves down your throat, into your chest, and your heart, your lungs, filling with this sparkling, bright, radiant light. And then it all gathers into your solar plexus. It gathers into your solar plexus like a ball of light, a ball of fire, storing and manifesting all this life force to remind you of your feel into this ball of energy in your solar plexus. I'm going to invite you to feel some opposites. So feel this ball of power in your solar plexus. And then I invite you to feel the sensation of power. Power. What happens when you feel power in your solar plexus? Does it change? Does it shift? Does it have a color? Power. And then feel the opposite, powerless. What changes in your solar plexus when you suddenly feel powerless? What happens when you feel powerless? And let that go and feel into the balance here in your solar plexus. Because there are always things we have power over and things we don't. So as you feel into this power center, your power center, we call it the balance of power with. Power with, this fine line between where you have power over your autonomy, over your truth, your vision, over where you put your energy. And again, not having power over others, not having power over principles and places and things. How do we come into power with between ourselves and the world? Power with. Feel your solar plexus fill with this power with. This ball in your solar plexus go bigger and brighter, like a crystal ball filled with light. Notice the colors, notice the swirls or shapes. Focus all your attention in your solar plexus into this power center in your solar plexus. So much so that you suddenly see yourself in this ball of light. You've dropped all of your consciousness into this ball of light in your solar plexus. You stand in the center of swirling light, your life force. And as you settle here in your power center, again, you look around. What is it filled with? What brings you a sense of joy and play and pleasure and purpose? What's also here too is the other side. What connects you to aggression, shame, guilt? These energies have power as well. Fear, jealousy. All of these energies swirling are not good or bad. It's power. But it's how you choose to embody it and then move it into your relationships. Allow yourself to move this light, to use your will to swirl through this center. Fill up on the love and purpose and passion. Let the symbols, images, colors arise. And those places where we feel the darkness, the shadow, can we offer more love? Can we offer more light? Can we surround it with curiosity and joy and play? Embodying our power is embodying all of us, choosing ourselves as we are while we continue to do the work so that we may be willing and able to come into healthy relationship. As you nestle here into this ball of power surrounded by all that is bright and beautiful, and that also that feels dark and challenging as we gather it all in, getting brighter and brighter and brighter. You suddenly see the images of the others that are most important to you right now. They could be faces, they could be feelings, it might surprise you. Just allow yourself to rest into this power space and feel into what is most important right now. What are the others emerging through this swirling light that are the most important, that are the most worthy of your attention right now? And again, maybe it's the relationships where there's work to be done. And it's time to put the energy into that work. Maybe there are relationships that have been sort of not, Now you have the time to grow them. Relationships need love and power and energy like everything else. And when we come from this place of our own power, our own sustained manifest power, and we move into relationships without expectation, without requirement, but with our healthy boundaries, knowing we are choosing our safety and health first, relationships become the place of initiation. You let yourself see anything else. If there's a part in your life you're struggling with, if there's a situation you're struggling to identify with, you're struggling to find your purpose in this crystal ball of fiery light, just ask your power for guidance to point you in the direction of healthy empowerment. There's again some dynamic that you're struggling. Bring this power and fire and light into it. There may be messages or other energies here. This is yours, and you can come into this place anytime you want. Anytime you do a physical practice or an energetic practice, you can move the energy up and down the spine and store it here. Filling this area with that conscious, intentional power. This is a safe, sustainable way to move our life force, to fill ourselves up before we step out with others. Feel gratitude, feel this light continue to rise. And as it continues to rest and swirl in your solar plexus, you feel your whole body online, your whole body open and receptive, your whole body embodied with this balance of power. In this space, you again hear, I choose me. I choose me. I choose me. You gather in all the energy. You feel your body here and whole, receiving everything that you need from this full moon energy and practice. You breathe deeply and take your time to start to wiggle or shift, again, moving from your center, from source. Stretch, wiggle, shift. I want you to stay in this receptive space. We're going to do a little bit of journaling when you're ready. So take your time. You can roll to your left side, the lunar side. So if you have your journal, you're always welcome to just write, do stream of consciousness writing if you feel like it, but I have a few prompts. And the first prompt is, I identify. I identify. I identify. And ... So you continue that prompt. You don't need to overthink it or anything. Just write, I identify, and just allow it to come through. And then go ahead and release that. Take a breath. The next prompt is my relationships. My relationships. My relationships. Dot, dot, dot. No right or wrong, no good or bad, just right. And then release that. Take a breath. The last prompt is I choose. I choose. I choose. And then let it go. Take a breath. Exhale. Close your eyes for a moment. Rub your palms. Feel the heat and the fire in your hands. And then place that over your eyes. So again, closing that outer vision, opening that inner vision. And as you release the hands, you'll softly open the eyes and you'll look at your writing and you're going to pull out like 3 to 5 words from each section. And they don't even have to be together. They can be like 3 to 5 separate words, but 3 to 5 words from each section. Just whatever jumps out at you from, again, that inner vision. So Aries is that instant, right? It's like, so you open what jumps out at you, 3 to 5 words from each section. And again, don't overthink it. Just look at the words, not even like you're reading it, but just like skim it and notice what jumps out. Okay, so when you're done with that, you're going to make a Aries Libra haiku, because haiku is Aries' favorite poetry because it's short. Libra likes it because it's balanced. And what's nice about the little haiku is that it's something you can remember or have very easy, because I would invite you to work with it at both tonight's full moon and again at the Aries new moon. So a haiku has 5 syllables in the first line, 7 in the next, and 5 in the other. So from those words, can you come up with that? So again, it doesn't have to make sense, right? Like again, we're so the inner child in Druid work, in the chaos magic too, we work with the fetch energy, the inner child that likes to kind of play, but then we're also appeasing that adult because we have the order and balance. So the only requirements is that the first line has 5 syllables, the second has 7, the third has 5. So this is your Aries haiku. Quick, to the point, potent. I just got an alert from, I have the Cheney app, and it says the full moon is now. The full moon in Libra wants you to remember that love is real and justice needs us all. Continue on your haiku. When Cheney speaks, we all listen. So we are at the exact moment of this full moon, writing out our Aries haiku, putting in that potency, the balance of your identity, your relationships, and your choices. And if you're on the recording, again, it's okay if you're doing this past the full moon, we're still receiving all of this energy until, like I said, at least definitely through the new moon. So again, the Libra energy is going to be like, oh, I have to make sure. So we're playing with that balance of like instinct, right? Quick instinct, what comes up first. And then we just let Libra clean it up a little bit, right? She wants the 575, but we don't need to over obsess over it. You don't have to share this with anybody ever. We're just gonna take a couple more minutes. So in that way we can't get into that Libra with the menu. We're like, wait, let me change my words. So no rush, but again, when you have it, maybe you can write the haiku on its own paper or pull off a little piece of paper just so you have it. And then just sit with it for a moment. Again, think about that fire, that ball in the belly, and how does that haiku sit with that, right? We want it to kind of resonate with that vibration. I love haikus. They're one of my favorite forms of like poetry. That may be my Aries moon, Libra rising. And then our ritual is very simple. So you will have your haiku and you will have your lighter or match. If you have matches, make sure you have like a cup or something to put it in. Just, again, always the safety, right? Very important. And again, very simple here. You can hold your haiku with one hand, your lighter or matches with the other, or if you're using the matches, you might put the haiku on your legs or in front of you. And just take a few good breaths. So just connecting our energies and just take a moment to feel into that power with, right? We played with that polarity, that power with. Feel into gratitude for who you are. Even if you're not really sure who that is, and that is uncovering. And like I said, we just started the astrological new year. We have a whole 12 months, 12 houses to uncover, and then it dissolves and we start over again. And so when we come into this Aries space, we check in, we sort of assess it with our rising sign. Are we sort of living up to our soul's guide, right? The rising energy is what's rising in the east. Are we moving towards that sunrise for our soul in this life, in this body? And again, this is not the space for guilt or shame or fear or regret. Reflection is great. It's important to reflect. But we gather back to ourselves. We call our power back. We choose ourselves. We start to work towards the healing relationship with ourselves. And that is what we carry into all of our relationships. We connect to this gratitude for ourselves. We connect to gratitude for the relationships that teach us who we are and who we are not. We connect to the situations over this past year that have forced us to grieve and to awaken and to celebrate. And as we start this new cycle under the light of the Libra full moon, the worm full moon, the full moon that ignites the rebirth of Passover and Easter, we awaken ourselves, we rebirth ourselves, the magical child, the peaceful warrior. Feel gratitude and offer gratitude to your guides, your guardians, your ancestors, spirit, the earth, the sun, the moon, the planets and the luminaries. Feel into gratitude for the elements, the directions, all who guide us, all who love us. Feel all that gather in your power center, swirling with that power width. By choosing ourselves from this place, in this way, we choose how to show up for others. By choosing ourselves, we are committing to not showing up in a way that is unembodied, that is unconscious, that is harmful to self or other. And as you feel into that with gratitude, we call in the beauty, the blessings. And when you feel that fullness, that swirling, that connection, when you feel that, and again, it might take a while, it might be subtle, but when you feel a stirring, a warmth, a vibration, or just again, a lot of love or gratitude, then I want you to read your haiku out loud. And as you finish it, you then will spark your light and offer those words out. And you can take a moment to gaze at the light, sealing in your words. So when you feel ready, the lighter's fun too, but I do like the matches. When you feel that connection, you read your words out loud with power and energy, and then you strike. You pause with the fire, seal in your identity, your relationships, and how you are choosing to show up for both. If you have a match, you can watch it burn down. If you have the lighter, then maybe just till it gets hot. And then when the light goes out, place your hands on your body in a way that feels good. Maybe one on the heart, one on the solar plexus, or on the belly. Your hands to prayer, that place of balancing. And again, we finish in beauty, we finish in gratitude. I'm always so appreciative to share this time and space with you. May we all choose ourselves in a way that is committed to the work, committed to the magic. May we all choose to show up for ourselves and others with our unique passions and purpose and power. May this cycle bring clarity and healing and harmony to our hearts, our bodies, our loved ones, to all beings in the world. Take a deep breath in, hold the breath at the top, connect to that full moon, hold. And as you exhale, let that full moon energy move down through the head, through the chest, and again, back into the solar plexus. And then place your hands on the earth, sending energy to our Mama Earth. I bow to you all. Thank you so much for being here. All blessings be. Happy full moon. So I'm going to turn off the recording in a second so I can check in with my folks who are here live. And the recording is available for the next week or so. It's good through the next week or so. If you want to make a donation, donations are always appreciated. Venmo, PayPal, or Zelle, and I can always give you my info. And if you have any questions or if you want to share your haiku with me or anything, like feel free to reach out. So I'm going to turn off the recording. And thank you so much. Happy full moon.